Hello everyone, and welcome back. It's Zakiziel here. I hope you're all having a wonderful Valentine's Day slash Singles Awareness Day. And today, I'll be reacting to 5-ish Minute Lore Episode 25, Bromance Part 2, Alexis Polux. Reacting to the bromance on the day of romance. But, that aside, I highly recommend that you check out Old Man React's channel and subscribe to him if you haven't already. He makes wonderfully entertaining and informative content. I've really been enjoying the 5-ish Minute Lore series and his colorful cast of characters that show up in the various fanfiction segments. As always, a link to the original video will be in the description box below. And without further ado, let us begin. Forward to learning about this Imperial Fist. Fists and Iron Warriors are my two favorite legions.
General Medicaid warning. The views expressed in 5-ish Minute Lore, the lore delivered in rants, are sanctioned by their scholar Progenium as excess rageous. Prolonged exposure can result in loss of IQ, high blood pressure, random outbursts, and blunt force trauma to the skull, resulting in unconsciousness. Please consult your local physician for more information.
Captain of the Imperial Fists, 405th Company, and first Chapter Master of the Crimson Fists, Alexis Polux. A man of considerable skill and strength, humble to a fault, and a true exemplar of his Primarch.
It's very helpful for people to hear that they should make themselves competent and dangerous and take their proper place in the world.
Competent and dangerous? Why dangerous?
Because it's the alternative to being weak.
The English language allows for a wide variety of descriptions for various people, but there's only one word that accurately describes Alexis Polux and the way he handled his duty. That word is competence. It sounds like a bit of an insult, doesn't it? It's strange that I can use the current Webster's Dictionary Pocket Edition to bludgeon people to death with, but the best word I can use to describe Pollux is competent. But it describes him perfectly. He is competently sized as a space marine, being about the third largest to ever exist. He's competent as a strategist.
Also, with that power fist that he has, I imagine that anyone who pissed him off was insistent on a fistin'.
Even giving Perturabo a run for his money in a fleet engagement. He's competent enough to have a second founding Space Marine chapter named after his nickname, the Crimson Fists. He's got competent enough looks to be the poster boy of the Astartes, and he'd be a guy you'd gladly invite to a barbecue. And he's a competent enough diplomat to tell a Primarch to their face that the Primarch's wishes come second to that of his dad. Pollux was born on the planet of Inuit. If you want to know what Inuit is, take a phrase "a cold day in hell" and you have an idea. Inuit is basically lifeless, except for Australia-tier creatures and the people that populate it.
Oh, hi, Spice Oz. That's my own planet.
And resources are so sparse it's pathetic. Even with all this going against the planet, they had developed a small pocket stellar empire. Alexis was raised on this planet and became an aspirant to become a space marine of the Imperial Fists, alongside his twin brother, Helenus. All aspirants are tested, in some cases brutally, for final admission to being turned into a space marine, and the Fists are no slouches in this matter.
You walk through this archway.
Oh boy.
The squid will scream at you. If you get a boner, we're killing you.
Welcome to the Thunderdome, bitch!
During this test, they were attacked by something best described as a chainsaw with a pulse, and Helios died to save them both, mainly by letting go of Alexis's arms and falling down a cliff. Alexis lived with a chewed-up arm, broken ribs, and a metric ton of emotional damage, the likes of which therapists write bestsellers on. Did I mention he was about 11 when this happened? No? Okay, so yeah, he was fucking 11! We here at 5-ish Minute Lore do not endorse child endangerment. We do, however, find its results worthy of dedicating a second mortgage to. Now on sale, Horse Heresy Plastic. Get your plastic out now.
You know, speaking of what the aspirants go through, it's reminding me of, I think, was it the Blood Angels that part of the process that people who want to become Astartes go through? Is that you send a child out into the wilderness, and they have to complete a journey of sorts, of which most of them die, and then the strongest among them who actually survive then have the potential to become Space Marines, assuming that that the gene seed implantation works as it's supposed to, and there's no rejections and all that, and also assuming they don't get killed by something during their time as a Scout Marine.
What's in your wallet?
Emotional damage.
During his time with the Fist, Pollux performed his duties competently, and by that I mean he did them so well he was sitting at the same round table as Rogel, Dorn, and Sigismund. He was the
Boy, up there with Daddy Dorn and Sigismund. That's an accomplishment.
commander of the 405th Company and a member of Rogel Dorn's advisory council. Now that's competence. When the Horus Heresy kicked off, Alexis jumped at the chance to head to Istvan, and was sent there alongside a full third of the Fist that Rogel had with him and 500 ships. Alexis was prepared to competently whoop some ass, but right when the ships began to pop out of the warp, well, the warp began to pop ships. The commander of the fleet, a guy named Yonit, tried to power through a massive fuck-off warp storm. Well, I'll give you an idea of how well that went. When they tried to translate back into real space, the Geller fields that protected them all started to fail en masse, which resulted in utter disaster. Ships began to come apart at the seams, reactors went critical, entire squadrons simply ceased to exist.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Alexis Polux was found in a drifting wreck, and he was one of the lucky ones.
If I'm not mistaken, orcs would just call that in-flight entertainment.
10,000 fists had died. To put this loss at a level you can understand, I can count on one hand where that many Space Marines died in a single incident, and I still have enough to give the middle finger to a towel. Yonad himself was killed, and guess who was competent enough to be his successor? Yep, our guy Pollux. Pollux gathered survivors and set up for the fall system to lay low and get the fleet back in fighting shape. Because at that point, a monkey launching bananas out of a catapult could have dealt a death blow to it. Pollux tried to prepare for literally anything. In record time, the fleet was getting back on its feet and ready for war, and that's exactly when they almost got massacred. You see, during the first real battle of the Horus Heresy on Istvan V, Perturabo was a bit annoyed that the Fist didn't come because he really wanted to beat the hell out of Dorn. When Perturabo found out that Dorn had sent a fleet, he figured if he couldn't get his hands on Dorn, he would have to be content to beat the fuck out of his kids. Welcome to 40K, where Family Feud is literally the plot line.
Name something that follows the word pork.
You pie.
Perturabo's fleet translated his system and promptly began killing everything, wiping 13 ships out of existence before anyone could even shit their pants. Pollux was prepared to fight a lot, but now he was fighting a fleet commanded by Perturabo, and Perturabo was there with the express purpose of whooping that ass. The problem for Perturabo was that he was expecting someone completely different to be leading that fleet. That someone else was supposed to be Sigismund, first captain of the Fist, leader of the Templars, and founder of the Black Templars. Perturabo's entire strategy revolved around beating the living hell out of Sigismund. But unfortunately for Perturabo and the galaxy at large, Sigismund had listened to a hot blonde named Euphrates, who told him that if he went to Istvan, he would die unremembered. She also told Sigismund that if he didn't go to Istvan, there would be nothing but war without end. Well, Sigismund checked the box for war. Perturabo had planned the entire strike against the Imperial Fist fleet around fighting Sigismund, and if Sigismund had gone to Istvan, things would have gone exactly as Euphrates had predicted. Sigismund would have died either due to the warp storm or falling directly into the plan of Perturabo. Perturabo had studied Sigismund well, fully expecting the Templar to establish a fortress on the planet and try to hold out against Perturabo. Sigismund's style, while effective, was extremely predictable. I call it the murder the monologuing style. Perturabo didn't have a monologue. Sigismund would have died, unremembered. And no Black Templars. That's bad.
Yep. Although, still gotta give it to Perturabo though. That coming up with such a great plan. and that Sigismund would have certainly died had he shown up there, which is also both to be expected given what Perturabo's whole deal is with that he's supposed to be incredibly logical, although the man is incredibly petulant as well. Still.
Pollux, on the other hand, his style was different than Sigismund's, but it was a competent style. Pollux managed to turn what had every right to be a massacre into a running battle, with Alexis Polux even ordering a boarding action on Perturabo's flagship. Right when the Imperial Fist had the Iron Warriors pulling back to regroup, an astropathic message came through ordering Pollux and was left of the fleet back to Terra. Pollux was left with a decision to make. The Imperial Fist fleet was basically finished, and if they stayed, they would be wiped out. But if they stayed, they stood a chance to cripple the Iron Warriors permanently. The ships that were boarding Perturabo's flagship only needed support in order to have a legitimate shot to decapitate the Iron Warriors' Legion. In fact, it's very possible that the Imperial Fist could have completely flipped the battle and turned the battle into an absolute humiliation for the Iron Warriors. Well, Alexis is known for following orders competently, and the flip side to that is hard to competently withdraw from a fleet that is hell-bent on stomping you out. The fleet began to withdraw in waves, and as soon as the Iron Warriors caught on to what was happening, it turned from a battle to an absolute beating. Pollux knew that the Iron Warriors would be gunning for two ships, his flagship, the Tribune, and a symbolic ship of the 7th Legion, the Lacedaemon, which had been the first ship of the Fist to lead Terra on the Great Crusade. As the Lacedaemon was getting introduced to the afterlife for ships, the Tribune was getting ran down by the Iron Warriors. Suddenly, the Tribune just blew up. The Iron Warriors began celebrating, deciding to take their time murdering the last few Imperial Fist ships that had not managed to get away. Perturabo was grinning, spending the last few minutes beating the Imperial Fist Terminators who had boarded his flagship to death. All in all, Perturabo was in a good mood. Then everyone seemed to notice that one of the ships that had ran the Tribune down was moving away. The Contrador, which had engaged the Tribune at point-blank range, was attempting to leave the battlefield. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it was already too late. Pollux had purposefully overloaded the Tribune's reactors, and when the flash happened that close to the Contrador, he had boarded it and taken it over. He had even hung out a bit around the battlefield just to throw suspicion off. Legend has it that someone rolled down the window on the Contrador's bridge, and an Imperial Fist was held out the window, flipping the Imperial Fist bird to the Iron Warriors just as the ship entered the warp.
I imagine that Perturabo's good mood evaporated quite quickly upon realizing that.
Look at the mess of this place! It's fucking ridiculous! Someone fucking man up!
Now, here comes the fun part. Due to the way communications work in the warp, it's very possible that the message that the Fist received was the very same message that was sent out before the fleet had left for the Isthman system in the first place. This could have very well been because of the Chaos Gods themselves, which turned the battle itself into a massively costly loss for the Fist when they broke from ranks and retreated to follow the orders of their Primarch.
What?
The Contrador hung an under management sign and started cleaning house to the Iron Warriors' baseline human supporters within its crew. Then they promptly ran right into the ruined storm. Oh, great! After an undetermined amount of time blindly stumbling through the warp, they found a light in the darkness and headed to it, assuming it was the Astronomicon and Terra itself. When the navigator said they were preparing to re-enter real space, Pollux was ready to rejoin Papa Dorn and set himself to fortifying Terra. Instead, they wound up popping out of the warp on the edge of Macragge. Yes, Macragge, Gilliman's Ultramarines' homeworld. Unable to re-enter the warp and badly wounded during the fight at Thal, he stuck to Gilliman's homeworld, where upon meeting the Primarch became the first Marine ever to refer to a Primarch as a bastard in front of another Primarch. Said bastard was, of course, Perturabo. Everyone was wondering if Pollux was going to get chokeslammed by Gilliman for talking about his brother like that, until Gilliman actually agreed with him. Gilliman then asked him to assist with the defenses of Macragge, which Pollux agreed to do under the condition that he be allowed to head to Terra as soon as the warp storms cleared up enough to allow him to do so. Pollux set about pissing off the Ultramarines by showing them just how shit their defenses were, and despite that, they did everything he recommended because Gilliman told them to shut up and deal with it. Pollux had a lot of questions about the light that had drawn his ship to Macragge in the first place.
Oh, by the way, I still love how it is that the Imperial Fists and the Iron Warriors ended up starting out as opposites and then trading places, in the sense that the Iron Warriors were specialized in siege, and I think it was the Imperial Fists were specialized in siege, and the Iron Warriors were specialized in building defenses. And then the Imperial Fist figured out, oh, well, we know how to break defenses, so by using the things we know about how to destroy them, we can build better defenses that are resistant to these things, and became really good at building defenses, and vice versa happened. The Iron Warriors going, well, we know really well how defenses work, so now we also know how to destroy them.
After being told it was called the Pharos, and the information on it was classified, he was then informed if he'd like, he could speak with the Warsmith. Pollux just about shit a brick. Instantly he wanted a meeting with this Warsmith. That Warsmith, sitting on the planet of Sotha, was none other than Barbarous Dantiok.
Nice. Well, that was a fun watch, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching with me. If you did, I'd appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out. Also, thank you guys in general just for subscribing and watching. I recently hit 300 subscribers, and I really appreciate all you guys. But that's all for now. I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. And this is the Keys signing off. Bye!